Welcome back to Matriarch Alchemy. I'm Allie.
And I'm Amanda. So, how are you?
I'm good.
You've
How
been
are
out of
you?
town.
I know.
um, how I was just thinking you only have
6 weeks.
6 weeks left of college. How
I
are you
know.
feeling about that?
I'm so excited to be done.
To be done.
At least with just this first degree. Okay.
I
But,
think you had something extraordinarily difficult with having to go to school during COVID.
well, yeah, COVID and then add on, like,
This just was a lot. And then obviously going through
my dad
your
and
dad dying was a whole nother
it's a
thing.
whole thing.
This is a lot. So I mean, it's a huge accomplishment. So congrats to you. You're almost there.
Thank you.
You're on like the last lap of,
It feels
of
like
the race.
it's so weird because, like, I know 2 months in general or a month and a half can go by really, really fast. But at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, it's going by so slow. It's like
Mm.
painfully slow. Where I'm like,
Oh,
I got to that point where I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like, I definitely have the senioritis in my head. I'm not stopping. It's just, why am I not done yet?
well, I do think at least now your classes are more interesting too than they were originally at the end
Yes.
here. But um, what's the thought process now when it comes to you thinking about like discovering your career path or where you want to go? Like, I know it's very overwhelming because there's so many opportunities. So what are you thinking about?
I'm definitely thinking about just getting myself out there. Um, I know I've kind of like changed up what I wanted to do over the last like few years, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking a lot about like, okay, how am I going to get to where I want to be? And it's starting with let's get my resume together and start applying now because graduation's coming up and I want to start getting my name out there. Um, so yeah,
Mm.
updating my resume, making sure it has everything that I need in there, and then adjusting it for all the types of jobs I'm applying to because there is such a wide variety and just really throwing myself in every single direction and seeing what sticks because job market's horrible out there. So I'm just gonna do my
Oh,
best.
is it?
It's horrible. And yeah.
It's a hard time. Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, when you're coming out of school, I always felt like it's like the opportunity paralysis of
Yes.
how do you decide what kind of job fits? So like if you like being with people, do you like writing? Do you like being creative? There's facets of the thing you studied
Yeah, but
in so many ways that you're still like, oh, do I want to be in this kind of management or do I want to do research or
I also
so
think it's
much?
just not putting yourself in such a tight box.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like realizing that so many of the skills that you already have from school or from work that you've done can translate into so many other jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is what I feel like I hear from people is like, oh, well, I'm not qualified for that job because I don't have one thing. And I'm like, what'd you do for your last job? No, you definitely did that. Or you're qualified, or maybe there is a possibility you are slightly underqualified, but you have the skills that they want. So it's like, why are you limiting yourself when yet you could just throw yourself in every single direction? And if you go to an interview and if they hire you, they think you have it. So why are you
Mm.
panicking?
Did you have a resume?
Yeah, I've had a resume, but I've been updating it with skills for that I've been doing in school. So
Yeah.
like from all the lab stuff I put in there that shows that I can do
Mm-hmm.
certain things, but also kind of adjusting it. So currently I have two resumes. One is for one specific kind of job, more of the business side of jobs, and then my other side is more by like lab biology kind of one.
Mm.
And so I use
Yeah.
that for depending on which jobs I'm applying to. And I
That's
think
good.
that's the one thing I think people don't do is adjust their resume for the jobs that they're
Yeah.
applying
And
to.
it's really, I mean, unless you're going for a very basic minimum wage job, you should try to be creating one and just consistently updating it and there's resume builders online. And
Yeah, but a resume is one of those things that does set you apart in this um, job market. I mean, add on top the struggle of already AI is pretty much
mm,
AI. HR is AI. at this point who is going
Wow.
through all of the resumes. So
Mm.
definitely adjust your resume into what the job posting says, just so you can, you know, get through that AI barrier first.
It's interesting. I didn't think about AI being part of that process. One thing that I noticed when we were just out of town,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of businesses in our city that I thought were just in our city. And then I noticed seeing them in Austin, Texas. And I'm like, oh, I thought this was just in Denver, or I didn't realize this was a chain. And I noticed this a lot when we travel, that everywhere we go, like everything is just chains, 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 same stores. Like everything is so corporate. So you do have to realize when you're applying for a lot of these jobs, you are with these massive corporate companies, even if you don't think they are.
Yeah.
You ever thought about that? Like, there's restaurants here that I thought, like, there's more than one of these.
There's been a few times with like restaurants or businesses that I've been like, oh, this is like a small business because it
Yeah.
feels like one or
There's only one in your
whatever.
city, and they're not everywhere.
But then I'll go to like another city for something and I'm like, wait a minute. This is
Yeah.
the same thing.
It's actually kind of hard to find a very unique small business, and we like to go out to eat. We like to try restaurants, so we really do try to eat at non-chain restaurants, and sometimes that could be really difficult
Yeah.
to, like, I don't know, you have to do a little research.
No, I agree. That's hard.
I don't know. Yeah, so mm, but when it comes to, I guess, job hunting, that's something you need to consider. What else do you think kids need to do to prepare for coming out of college? What do you need? How can I support you?
um, I guess one thing that I had to learn was a while back because I probably did it way before then. Like a lot of people was moving out into like my own place that wasn't either a college campus or my parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've had friends who have like a lot of money saved away, and they're like, "Oh, I'll just go get an apartment, and then I'll find like my job that I need after that." And they don't realize that like a lot of these apartment complexes need work history to prove income, or
Or
they need
rental
like a
history.
proof of job offer before they'll even like rent to you because they need to know that you can afford it. So that was
Mm.
something that was kind of funky when I left. Was they were like, "Oh, we need like your job history," and I was like, "That's
Well, and
weird."
I have realized, like, I'm gonna have to write a letter showing, like, say, if your brother lived here for a while, that he paid rent and that he can have that kind of rental history
Yeah, you need proof of
with
it.
me. And then same thing, like if you rented from family, you can find a way to either show how it came out of your bank account,
Hmm.
or how, I don't know, whatever your agreement was. Like, it's just, even if it's from the landlord that owns the property, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, so if you are in your parents' house and you are, over the age of 18 and you need to go rent an
Mm-hmm.
apartment or whatever, make sure you start figuring out a way to show rental history with your parents or whoever you were living with. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because that was kind of funky, or to at least have some way to prove income.
Yeah, and they want to know, I mean, they kind of want you to have a job figured out or lined up so that they can show that you're going to have continued income.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. I don't know. Yeah. Unless you have X amount of savings, which is more than the rent, that's like the only thing you could kind of sometimes use.
It's
But that's a
really
lot of money.
hard
You
because
have
a
to have a
lot of the
big
apartment
savings.
complexes are so big.
Mm-hmm.
Corporations and companies, they're all across America. I mean, I can drive across our state and find four sister properties of like one apartment complex,
Mm-hmm.
and they all look exactly the same. They're just a different name. And
A lot of times they
since
have the same name, just the
either
different
the same name or
locations.
they're a sister company owned by the same company.
Mm.
It's just weird.
Hmm.
I don't know if it is to like throw people off, but um, yeah, a lot of them do require like proof of income, a letter of like an offer letter from a new job if you're moving to a new city, just to prove but you have a
Yeah.
way to pay for
Okay.
it.
So how do you make sure you have clothes for a new job after you graduate and you've been wearing hoodies and you don't have any money yet? How are kids like getting professional career wear?
I don't.
What are you guys doing? You just asking mom for some cash so you can
I mean, I
buy
work,
work pants and blazers
and
and
if I need something, I think the most important part was having just like basics that you can kind of just mix and match together. So
yeah,
like
something
I've
that
got a
fits you
pair of
well.
black pants and I've got all different shirts that fit for the season.
Hmm.
But I usually don't buy anything until it's like, okay, it's getting cold. Okay, I know I need a new long sleeve shirt. I'm gonna go to TJ Maxx or Marshalls. Or I know kids are going thrifting now though. That's like a thing, and there are a lot of
That
good
is,
stuff
I was
too.
just gonna say, if you're actually really hard up and you just want to grab some stuff that's appropriate, that's very like those building block pieces in your wardrobe. Like, oh, I'll just get a black blazer, get
Mm-hmm.
this. So a lot of those resale shops have some great stuff from a lot of us older women that gained weight from having babies or menopause or whatever. And we are donating our beautiful, very new, nice things. And you girls are usually in the size you can actually fit into it. And there's organizations if you're really struggling. If you ever heard of Dress for Success,
I've heard of it.
so you
Yeah.
can Google that, and they actually help make sure you have a really nice thing to wear to job interviews if you can't afford it. It's like to help you get on your feet. So it's a great organization, and there's some like that too for men now. They can get like a suit so you can go to interviews and
What
dressed appropriately.
What would you recommend to wear to a job interview?
Whew, I just say dress nicer than you think you have to for the most part. I mean, even if you're going to do a job that is manual labor, show up in a button shirt and the nicest pants you have. Like, I just feel like that just looks, everyone should own one. I mean, gosh, if you go to a funeral, you go to a wedding, like, you should have one pair of not jeans,
A nice
one
pair of
button up
pants.
shirt at bare minimum. I mean, even if you're young, like, I have bought your brother button up shirts and polos. He doesn't necessarily wear in his normal daily route,
Right.
but he puts them on. I see him
Yeah.
put stuff on if he has to, like, say, go to a job interview, go to court, like go to a funeral, like a wedding. He has something to put on. And
Yeah.
and it's like you can go out into the world and find those in a little bit less expensive places if you're a kid and you're having to figure that out on your own. Seriously, thrift shops, go get a blazer. Go find one. I mean, they're very basic for a lot of them. You still can wear them.
So dress pants and a nice um, shirt. I'm trying to think of
I
a
think there's
blouse.
more things women can get away with wearing. I mean, you
Yeah.
could wear a blouse, you
Skirts.
could wear a cardigan type of sweater over a skirt that it hits at least your knees.
Same thing with
Sorry, no
dresses.
tiny mini skirts unless you're going for something gross, which we don't want to be hired by those men.
Yeah, no.
We
But
don't want to work
also
for
like
them anymore. Wear dress pants,
dresses are fine if they
no
hit your knee,
sneakers.
but I also always make sure that they at least like cover kind of most of your collarbone and even kind of your
And if
shoulder.
you have a dress that has little skinny straps, now you need to wear a little cardigan or a little blazer over
Yeah.
it. You're not going to wear it by itself. It's not appropriate for an
Shoes.
interview.
You can wear like ballet flats. I found
Totally.
some
You wear
cute.
loafers.
Yeah, I found really cute shoes at like
Heels are
all
not
those
really
places.
necessarily appropriate for a job interview.
I also don't feel like people my age, at least in like corporate, are really wearing heels anymore. Like
We
heels are
really
not a
aren't.
staple. What?
They're barely worn anywhere. I mean,
No one wears heels
you look
anymore.
ridiculous anymore. Like we're just getting stuff done. Like it's just not. I mean, gosh, you almost never see people in heels.
No.
Just very particular jobs where it might be okay, especially if you're just gonna sit all day. But we're not really doing that.
No.
It's all booties.
Like
booties, flats,
loafers.
loafers with cute little heels. That's all I'm seeing.
Comfort. But
And
like
boots, taller boots too
cute
sometimes.
comfort.
With so like if you're gonna wear a shorter skirt, you're gonna wear tights, pantyhose with a booty or boot. Like just
Yes.
I don't care if it's summer. Like
Tights.
if you're gonna wear a shorter skirt, you should wear like black tights.
That's something I feel like I've learned is no matter what in corporate or whatever job you have to dress professional, always wear tights. I don't care what time of year it is. It just, I don't know. I just feel like not wearing tights with a dress, even if it's summer, it just feels weird.
It is.
I feel like it just adds to like they don't really. No one needs to really look at what your legs look like. They don't need to pay attention to that.
Well, I guess you, in the end, your job is you're going to see what's appropriate for that job. And a lot of times, wearing just a pair of slacks, which now we can get away with. There is some good, comfy yoga workout pants online that you can get away with that have pockets and belt loops, and they're comfortable
and they look like work
and
pants.
You can wear a knit top, even from somewhere inexpensive, and that would look great. Or you can wear a button-up shirt. Like I said, I have blazers in a couple different colors. I have lots of different little colored cardigans because weather changes, cold. A lot of times in offices, it's cold. They're just blasting the air conditioning. Men are hot in their suits, so it's like it's cold in there. So you gotta keep that in mind and bring an extra sweater or whatever. But it literally just can depend where you work. And there's places where it's very serious, or if you work in medical and you're gonna need really comfortable shoes, you might be walking all over a huge building.
Well, yeah, in medical or places that you're going to be on your feet all of your time, you might need to find like a good pair of tennis shoes. That's usually, or clogs is what people have been wearing in the hospitals.
I see that.
I don't know.
It doesn't seem comfortable to me to walk.
Everyone loves them, so I know.
Yeah, I kind of want something secured onto my foot, but when this is funny, weird. Remember, your dad had a shoulder replacement surgery, and then the doctor came out to talk to me. I was like, "What are you wearing?" He was wearing Crocs that were like boots, and he was like in his scrubs, and he goes, "This is the way I keep my feet dry. I have to operate underwater." And I was like, "What?" And he was explaining to me the sloppy nature of how they do this, and I was like, "Huh, okay." He's like, "I'm wearing Croc boots." It's like feet are soaking wet. No. There's appropriate shoes. You may need steel-toed boots for where you're going.
A lot of jobs have like their own kind of like. That is something that you can ask in an interview. Is like, what is kind of like your work culture, and then also like, what is kind of the dress code you guys have that they can bring up, whether it's like casual or we're like.
Yeah, upon hiring and even in the interview, you can ask questions. It's totally okay to ask about the culture and what it's like, what's the vibe like here. And they're going to tell you, "Oh, we're so fun and we're so laid back," or "We're really this way and this is what we do." They'll tell you. And it's totally fine to ask. And if you are hired, you can also ask, or they'll give you dress code requirements. And some places are more serious than others.
But also you'll learn that if you do start a job, like you'll go in there every so often and see, okay, now I kind of get the vibe.
Yeah, show up a couple times, but I show up too dressed up, and then
I'd rather be overdressed
bring it down
than
if that feels necessary. But yeah, I find a lot of young people really struggle to figure out what to wear because they want to be comfortable.
Yeah,
but it's not always comfort. If you're in a corporate environment and there's clients, it depends what type of office. If I'm walking into a company that's processing something, but they don't necessarily have face-to-face with a customer, that often can be more casual than a customer-facing business.
Yeah.
Right? So, again, it depends on the business.
The other thing I kind of wanted to touch on was preparing for an interview on top of just what you're going to wear, but preparing for one. Like, what are we doing? And I think the most important part is reading the company's website or whatever they have online that you can find about like their values and their mission statement. Like you can find a lot of those things and kind of tailor maybe some of your responses. But also just practicing how you're going to answer interview questions. Like they a lot of the time they ask those broad, like, tell me about yourself.
What are your skills? Or they say, what's a challenge you overcame? And then you're like,
so what they have is like a checklist basically seeing that you
kind of stuff.
They just want to see that you can identify with sometime an example that you did something, how you handled it, and the outcome.
And
They're just trying.
and in reality, a lot of times they're just watching how you carry yourself, so it's not so much the answer has to be right.
No.
How do you handle it?
And they're
Are
kind of
you,
trying to get a vibe for like your personality,
yeah,
seeing if you fit in with their culture, or are you going to be a
the other
problem?
employees.
Or
Yeah, yeah.
but I do think practicing those broad interview questions can be helpful if you don't have someone who can like practice with you. Practice by yourself, but even like ChatGPT, you can even talk to it and be like, hey, here's kind of the interview I'm going to. Can you pretend to be an interviewer and ask me questions? And then at the end, we can
Yeah.
go over what I might need to
And
talk
if
more
you
about.
like scrolling on your phone, there is a couple accounts that I have found that actually help prepare you how to answer interview questions.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a girl that I follow. I just think she has such a great way of
Is it
dealing
Erin?
with it. I don't know. I have to look it
She's
up.
like
I'll have to
blonde.
add it. But she talks about how to answer interview questions on TikTok, I think it is.
Yes, I think I know
She's
who you're talking
good.
about.
It's great. Like she's gives some really good advice. So I would like search out those accounts and look for it if you're at all worried about, oh, I wouldn't know how to answer those questions, or I'm not sure what is the correct thing to say. And then just get yourself in the right mindset. That's one good way to start. Because sometimes I think it can be a little daunting when you're coming straight out of school.
Yeah. Also, in an interview, it is always okay to take a moment to think about it. It isn't just they ask, I answer back and forth always. You can always just let me think about that.
Slow yourself down a little bit.
Because I do think a lot of us get into an interview and we go, well, let me tell you all about it. And then you panic.
You say a bunch of dumb
Take a deep
stuff.
breath. Take a deep breath. Think it over. And if anything, answer in your best ability. But you can always ask them to repeat the question or be like, oh, let me clarify. Were you asking? You can always ask questions back.
Yeah,
Or
well,
take your
that's the thing
time.
is you should have a handful of questions for them.
That too. Have at least one or two questions prepared for the end of your interview after looking over all of their website or anything that they sent you prior. Look it over, come up with some questions, whether it is about their culture.
And I saw a good
Or
one. I thought she said something like, ask about what do you see this role in the future, like what you want to come about from the production of this job, like this role. And like, it shows that you're thinking about how would I produce the results that
yeah.
you're asking for.
I like the other question that's like, what other career building opportunities can come from this job?
Mm-hmm.
So, they'll be like, oh, you can level up to a level 2 or a level 3, or there's other opportunities. Um, or asking like how you can grow. They might have other like internships throughout the company that you can go and shadow and look at different things, especially coming out of college. They know a lot of these kids don't really 100% know what they want to do.
Have you ever had a job interview you felt like totally unprepared, like way back, or like when you were young, or it's okay to say it.
No.
You don't have to be perfect.
I don't feel like I've ever been unprepared for a job interview personally.
Hmm. Or like felt like they asked questions that you just had no idea how to answer, or didn't like the vibe or the interviewer, and you're like, I want out of here. Have you ever been in any of those?
I had one, and I bet you were thinking about that.
I
I don't know if you remember this.
Maybe.
There has been one interview in all the jobs I have ever interviewed for since I was 16. But this was just recently in the last few years. I had someone ask me what my goals were, like personal, if I was planning on starting a family in the next year or two. Which, by the way, is like not allowed. But I instantly was like, I don't really want to work here because they made it sound like
I don't think that was the one that you didn't want to work there. You thought it was weird that she asked some inappropriate questions she shouldn't have asked.
She did.
But there was another place where the girl was very gossipy, and she was like telling her how they sold things by being flirty with the men, and it was medical, and she
was like med spa kind of thing, and oh my gosh.
So it was so much ick. And
I went in there and I was kind of excited about it because I used to work in like a med spa and I loved it. And I found another one that had an opening, and I was like, sweet. Go in for the interview. After the interview, the manager, I guess, was like, oh, come meet the girls who work here. It's like 5 girls in a little office and medical office, and they're just talking, and they're like, oh, well, yeah, you have to kind of flirt with all the customers to make more money. And I was like,
Ew.
this is not what I'm here for. But that
And
was
these were
probably the
like
best
30-year-old
thing.
women, do you think?
30-ish-year-old women. But sitting in that office for about 20 minutes, I was like, okay, I got the vibe now. Like, I'm good.
Well, and weren't they talking about like going out drinking and what they do, and they were trying to figure out if you were like going to be on board.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "Oh, she has a boyfriend."
I just don't think I would have fit into the work culture there. And then, so after that, I left, and then the manager was like, I'll send you, in a couple days, we'll let you know about the job. And I was like, I'm good. You don't have to. But 2 days later, she sent me like an offer letter. And it was like way below anything that I've even made in the last 5 years, that I was like, no. Yeah, you already had me at no, but now it's an extra no. But great response is always like, be honest on if you ever decline a job offer. Hey, this is what I don't think would fit with me, or I already accepted another job. The price is too low. You don't have to accept the first job offer you get.
Well, and it gives them feedback too if they're not paying well in the market, or why things, like if you were like, wow, like I thought you went in there to work for a couple hours or something, because they have to make sure when you're a phlebotomist or doing things like she was doing, like they have to know you can do the task. Right?
They wanted just to see me do something.
I think that's kind of how you spent time with some of those girls too, that she was like, it's a bad vibe in there.
Was not my
And it's
vibe.
like, I would have wanted to tell a manager, well,
I did send a very professional email back when I got their offer that was like, basically, culture I don't think I'm going to fit in. I don't really like that. Plus, you're asking, or you're offering way lower than like market price for my job and experience for over 6-7 years of experience.
Yeah.
You're asking minimum. You're giving me minimum wage. That is ridiculous.
You're like, what?
So,
blinking.
But I was honest. If it had been any other company and I really loved them, but they offered me really low, I probably would have emailed back and been like, is there any way we can get higher, closer to this number?
Hey, and it's not always going to hurt you to negotiate. I mean, it makes it show that you know your value. I feel like they're never going to offer you their highest possible thing they could pay you the first time. So,
no. Every time they offer me something, I'll send a reply back that's always like, is it possible to get closer to this number? And then they send me an offer that's usually within the middle of wherever they offered first and what I asked.
Well, and I mean, you're going into a lot of places with a lot of experience. I wouldn't say you don't have a whole lot to negotiate with when you have no experience. Sometimes you have to take the hit for a little bit until you can build up your experience. That you're not going to get paid the top of the pay range when you have no experience.
But you can't always ask for other things other than just money. You can ask for them to, if they're doing a 401k, you can ask for them to put more than whatever percentage they usually do. You can ask for more PTO for the year. I'm trying to think what other benefits that you can ask for in your sign-on contract. A sign-on bonus, you can ask.
And there are many companies do that. Car dealerships will often say, oh, we have guaranteed salary. Even if it's a commission role, say, oh, for 3 months we'll pay you this much, to give you the time to build up to have the commission income.
Or if you're moving to
things like that.
Another city or state, they might be able to pay for like some of your moving costs, or like furniture to furnish your new apartment. So you
Some
can ask
companies can give you a car. Company car. Just depends on the role.
Yeah, obviously, like kind of figure out what's going to be the best, but you can always ask for those things if you are having to move where you're living, or if you need if you want more time off instead of making more money per hour.
Yeah, I don't know, but
everything.
I'm just feeling really good about my parenting. I'm gonna interview you.
What kind of things do you put on a credit card, or when should you apply for a credit card?
That's good. I say, I think if you're being responsible and if you can at 16 or 17 apply for one credit card where your parent co-signs so you learn to use it and just build your credit
Hmm.
if they will do it. And if you know your parents wouldn't like take advantage of you, or if you have a situation where your parents would use your credit and be like, "Oh, it's just this month," you don't get a credit card with them.
Mm-mm.
They're not the people. They have bad credit probably, and you have to protect yourself. I heard of a story the other day where they were 18 and they were trying to establish, and they figured out when they were little the parent had used their social security number.
And got credit cards with it.
So you can get that off of your credit. Obviously, you can show, well, I was the baby, so I don't want to be responsible for these charges.
Yeah.
Clearly, it wasn't me. And I mean, so you can actually do some of that. But as soon as you're 18 and have a job, find somewhere to apply that will give you a minimal credit card, even if it's only has $1,000 credit limit or $2,000 credit limit. Just get it, buy your gas on it for your car, and pay it off every month. And even if you pay it off immediately or like every weekend, you just go and pay that gas back off. Like starting to use it and pay it off will help you get established credit.
And
That
why
would be
is
my first
credit
thing.
important?
Why? Well, unfortunately, in this world, there's a lot of different things we can use it for. I know there's some people who think, "Oh, I don't want to ever have to use it." But you can leverage that really well. Like, I don't understand not wanting to have a car payment. I don't understand not wanting to have a mortgage because now all my cash is mine. I'm investing it, and the return on it is so much better. Now, I don't use my credit cards except for either I can pay it off every month or it's for an emergency. So let's just say, like I have had some clients that would say, "Oh my gosh, my water line had to be repaired, and it was $20,000, and I had to put it on." So now they put it on their credit card to get the repair done, and then they went and got like a line of credit or refinance their house to pay off that credit card because obviously the interest on the credit card is asinine. Like it's insane. It's honestly unacceptable how high interest rates have gotten on credit cards. It's just so
Anything.
you have to consider a credit card as an emergency or just a debit card. So if you don't want to be out in the world using your debit card, what you want is to use the credit card that has a benefit or cashback program to you. So we travel a lot, so we have miles cards, right? So we get all kinds of airline benefits through the airline we like to fly through. And this will change based on what city you live in. So like I have a particular airline that's hubbed where I live, so it's a good one to have. So that might not be good for you. If you every month buy your groceries, your gas, your one purchase, like if you buy shoes or whatever, you put it on that same credit card, you pay it off, just like it's your debit card. These credit cards are usually protected more than your debit card, so if they get stolen and used, you can report to them that it's fraud. You don't want someone to be able to go in and just take all the cash out of your debit account. So I do not use my debit card shopping. I don't take my debit card when I go to another country. I do not use it. I only use my miles card. And that is to protect my bank account.
There are a lot of other credit cards too that aren't miles if you aren't traveling all the time,
Mm-hmm.
that are built more for students, like college students. Their credit line is not high. Like
Yeah.
it goes max like
It's
a
for like
thousand.
grabbing your little
And it
lunches or
really
books.
depends too based off of like your income. But they give
Mm.
you a lot of cashback bonuses like based off of like groceries and gas, and if you buy from these certain retailers, like I think it's important to at least kind of start to build your credit and think about it if in the next 5-10 years you're planning on ever buying a car or financing a car and
Yeah.
buying a house. You have to have good credit.
Your income and your history gives you buying power.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just a nice way to be able to do more with your money, and that's definitely a good option. But you have to remember, it's not just put it on the credit card, pay the minimum payment. Don't do that
No.
unless you absolutely have to survive. But you better have a way out. You got to have a plan. You can't do
Yeah.
that months and months in a row. You're going to be filing bankruptcy. Like you're going to be screwed.
Yeah.
So you can't be doing it because, oh, I had to go to the bar and I went here and I wanted these new jeans. No, we're not doing that. You have to use it for, oh, I broke my arm and I had to pay the copay for Urgicare. Great,
It's
put that on there.
emergencies, but also like necessities you can put on there because you'll usually be able to pay those off normally. Yes, there are some months where you might just need a little help,
Yeah.
but especially when you're young. But I heard a financial advisor say if you ever buy anything like on your credit card, let's say it's like a purchase that you normally wouldn't buy, not groceries or gas, but it's like, oh, I really want this necklace. If you couldn't buy the necklace twice on your like just in your bank account, you shouldn't even buy it once. So like those big quote unquote purchases, other than like a car,
well, and you don't
house,
need it. No one needs a necklace.
It's just an example, but if you
not a need.
If you couldn't buy it twice, but if you can buy it twice, invest the other half maybe into a savings account or that's like the best advice I ever heard from a financial advisor was
like it helped you to think about
it more of if I'm gonna buy
like what you can afford for your income.
So if I want to buy something that's $80, do I have $160? If I do, great. I'll buy the thing for $80, but then I'll put $80 in my savings. But if you can't afford to do that because it's a luxury item, like, you don't always buy.
Well, and you have to take into consideration, have you paid all your other bills that you have to pay? Have you paid your rent? Have you paid your water, your cell phone, your Wi-Fi, or whatever? And a lot of it, you can actually, there's things you can cut. And depending on where you live, you can go to the library. Like, there's so many places now with public Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But most of us obviously want Wi-Fi at home. But there's people that don't have it. So now what do you do?
Most phone companies do like free cellular, right? And hotspot with their
free cellular?
Well, they're cellular. So like I don't pay on my plan for hotspot or you overusing cellular or anything. It has like unlimited cellular data. I see what you're saying. I'm like, plus a free hotspot. That's what I meant. Like
you can use your cellular, so you don't have to necessarily, and don't get cable. I mean, television is not a necessity. It's not a necessity.
There's also so many free like stuff out there to watch too. So
there's so much free entertainment. Yeah.
Everything's getting ridiculous for streaming services anyways because no one is actually using TV anymore.
Oh my gosh. We were talking about how like the sports teams now, you have to have like every single one. They're starting to move it around. This is ridiculous.
Oh my gosh. We tried to watch the last big game. Stop. And I'm like texting you. I'm like, what freaking app is this on? I can't find it anywhere.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I'm doing the scavenger hunt for a
And we actually have a ton of streaming services, and I don't know how that ends up. A lot of them we get free through some of the credit cards.
How do homes work? Because it's not like all of us got $500K just laying around.
Oh, you mean like the process, purchasing and?
Well, that's like I learned from you that you can buy down like the interest rate, or that I didn't even know. So I was like 5%, 6%.
And also, I was a real estate broker, so
that probably helped.
Not actively now,
but at least I can ask questions to you. I don't know.
So I mean, I do have some interesting real estate knowledge, right? And I've been involved with learning a lot about those markets over the last 20 years. But first-time buyers do need extra hand-holding, and you need to find a very trusted person or real estate broker to give you advice just about the process, or that will go over the contracts with you, explain everything to you, so you don't feel like you're just going in blind and unprotected. You know how to know about inspecting the property. Lending is a whole other thing, like learning about the loan process. And I think there's a lot of information online. There's so many mortgage people that create little videos and stuff to help bring in business, but it gives you a lot of information. So you can actually find a lot of those just to watch too.
So I guess maybe my best question would be, where do you start if you wanted to buy a home? obviously I can go look at Zillow all day, but what do I do when I find
Look
a
at
house that
houses.
I'm like, I think I might be able to make this work?
Your very first thing is to have a really clear understanding of your buying power. So it's
Okay.
understanding what your credit score is, what your income is, what a lender would approve you for, and do you need a cosigner or do you need have enough down payment?
So do you have to go get pre-approved? I think I've heard of that before.
I don't think hardly anybody should go look at a house without getting pre-approved.
Okay.
Because if you don't know, and I mean, lenders don't actually know your big picture until they've looked at your stuff. So in the end, get all your information, find someone you trust. Don't go off of some weird ad. Like, and you don't have to use family. Sometimes that's actually a problem to work with family, or you don't want to give them very personal information. So you don't want to feel roped in that way. But I would say have a very clear picture of what you can get approved for and what is financially going to be good for you. So you're
So
not overstrapped.
do you just Google how to get pre-approved and like there's a website, or are there
You
certain
can.
places you should go to?
Well, in your circles, I would say look for someone you know that works in the industry. Almost everybody knows someone who's a mortgage broker. There's so
Okay,
many,
so it is a
right?
mortgage broker you go to.
You would look for a lender. So
Oh,
there's like lenders and brokers, or there's people that want to capture your business, and there's people that service the loans.
okay.
So there's different parts of the process. So if you were to go on right now, I'm just going to use the biggest one that I know of in the country just as an example.
Mhm.
Rocket Mortgage, right? So you can go online. They have a very easy process. I have closed a bunch of their loans, and it's a pretty quick, easy process as long as you are financially secure. If you're not, it might be a little bit harder, and they're very automated. So they're not going to answer any questions for you. So those really big companies aren't going to have hand holding. It's
Okay.
very minimal assistance and minimal information. It's just, I know a lot of people are very frustrated with that process.
So I already feel more confused now talking to you than I did
So
before.
I think I know lenders, right? We know people that are realtors that are more, and it's like you go to somebody and you're going to start asking questions. So the very first thing you're going to have to do is you find a mortgage person you like, you do have to fill out a loan application, and they're going to pull your credit and they're going to look at it. But they really can't help you without that information. They don't know if you're telling the truth.
Right.
You don't know what's on your credit.
They can't
So
approve you for.
they have to look at that. Then they're going to say, here's kind of where we're at. Here's what I need from you. Here's the amount of money you're going to need down. You might need to look at a gift. You might need a cosigner. And they'll give you steps of how to get there.
Do they also go through like letting you know about the different programs like first time home buyers, VA stuff if you're a veteran, like
Yeah.
those kind, do they go over that stuff with you as well
Yeah,
for
they
what you
will.
might apply?
And a lot of them, if they don't do the type of loan, so you have to understand that not every mortgage person can do every kind of loan. Like, so if it's FHA, VA, conventional, and like there's special loans for rental properties. So
Mhm.
there's different ones out there, and those are basically most people will do an FHA is when you have almost no money down. FHA can get you in the door, but I will say it sucks because they're going to charge you private mortgage insurance, which is this huge upfront premium. So they start tacking on a lot of fees, and then on top of your mortgage payment, your taxes and interest, you have this mortgage insurance that's added on there, which can be often $150 a month minimum, added onto your payment, and it stays on until your loan comes down or your property value goes up to where you have it's only 80%. Does that make sense? So if you picture the 100% purchase price, 80% is kind of like the happy conventional loan place. They want people to have 20% down, and then the lenders are comfortable with that space so that they don't lose out like on a foreclosure. So FHA, you can quite often get in with only 3% down. VA can do up to 0% down. And so they allow it. And I don't think the VA does necessarily the same mortgage insurance, but I don't know as much about it freshly right now. I haven't
Yeah,
done a
I
VA
don't
loan in
know.
forever, so I'm not sure. And then
I don't know off the top of my head, but it also brings your interest rate down.
so they
To
have what they, I mean, it's a really good program, but putting 0% down is not ideal for you in
no.
general, unless you're in a very increasing market. Like it's dangerous, like because you could foreclose or have to sell if the market went down, and now you owe more than the house is worth. So that's why you don't really want to put yourself in that kind of difficult situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
But so the conventional way is people try to save close to 20% down
Yeah.
or get a gift, which can be from a grandparent or something like that. I know not everybody has that. So that's why a lot of people are getting in there at the FHA and they save the 3%. But the very second your house goes up or you can get rid of that insurance, you need to get rid of that insurance because it's costing you a lot.
Do you need a realtor to buy a home?
You don't need one, but I would recommend getting one, especially if you have no idea what you're doing. Because we know how to walk you through the process. We know how to help you. We know how to fight for you. If things go wrong, we know how to, you know, we just know what to look for. Like if something's wrong, we know how to inspect property. We know like tax things that could be going on and finding liens and the title work. There's just a lot of stuff. So if you're a first time buyer, I probably would not, I would never recommend you buying one without unless you totally know everything about the process. I really wouldn't.
I was just curious.
I could go buy without one, but
I
you
just
couldn't. No.
remember I feel like I've heard people say before that you don't actually need a realtor. So I
So if
just wanted to
you
confirm with you.
you don't, it's not like a law requirement or anything like that. But if you want to be protected and have advice and not get screwed over in the process, you want to make sure you also have someone that you know is going to go to bat for you and will take care of you. And what sucks is, I've been in transactions and I was in my early 20s and I was this little thing in my little suit. And I looked like a baby. And I had a lot of older male realtors try to take advantage of me and break the law with my clients. And I was like, oh no, I'm good at contracts. And so I had to go to court to get earnest money back for some of mine when they're like, I had a girl I remember, she was in her 40s and she was trying to buy a house. And in the very end, we had sent paperwork, sent paperwork, sent paperwork. And at the very end, they did not approve her loan due to something with the divorce that she had been through. And she did everything in her power to provide all the paperwork and do everything she was supposed to do. But per the contract, if the loan is not approved, you get your earnest money back. And he tried to say, oh, well, they made these repairs from the inspection and they did this and they did that. And I was like, that's not in the contract. That's not how it works. So if you're the seller and you fix two things in your house for a buyer and the buyer's loan is not approved, that buyer's out the door scot free. It's not their job to pay for those repairs that you would have had to make anyway for the next buyer.
Yeah.
So I had this guy try to sue us for we won almost immediately in court because I just went out and I just hammered down and said, well, this is what the contract says. And then he started doing his little, well, this and that, and they did that. I was like, where's that in the contract? And it's not.
Yeah.
And he knew, but he just thought he was being this ballsy, badass jerk. And this little girl beat him. It was so fulfilling.
So I guess next thing, maybe in this latest lay term,
Okay.
what would be the best way if you wanted to buy a property with, say, your friend or your long-term boyfriend, girlfriend? What's the best way to
like
go
not
about that?
married.
Because it is, I've heard people who like, oh, my boyfriend bought the house, but I help pay rent, but then they can get kicked out because they don't actually own the property. What's the best way to go about any of this?
Well, number one, this is what's so silly is women will give money to a guy to help buy a house and think they're just going to be on the title, but they don't sign or see any paperwork. You're not on any paperwork if you're not signing anything. You're not on the title of the property. So you don't give money. If you want to ensure you're on, you're going to see the contract. You're going to see your name on the purchase agreement. Even if you're not going to be used for the loan, you're going to put in your loan application, and there's might say, okay, as like co-signers, the guy, like, let's just say the other party, let's just say they're only using their income. You're still going to both be on the loan. You're still on the co-signing paperwork. Then you're both on the title. You don't ever give money to the person buying the house. You'll give your money to the title company. The title company will hold your money and have it as a credit, and the title company holds every penny of everything going in and out. Everything is accounted for, everything's legal. Deal falls apart, they have to send you a check back. They have to empty the account. That money doesn't belong to the title company. So that's the one thing that I've seen is girls are just giving money to a guy and then making this assumption that they're buying the house, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to put you on the title.
Then they never sign anything.
No, if you didn't sign the closing paperwork and go over the closing paper and you're not at closing, you are not on the title. That you can't just add someone to the title. They can add you as like a death beneficiary, and that's the only way you could possibly be on a title. But that's not a good idea.
Other than going through that, do you think you need like additional contracts between the two of you for a house that you guys might be buying? Because this is for partnerships outside of marriage.
I think that you should buy it with an LLC and buy it together like it's a business if you are not married. You really have to consider what would happen if one of you died, what happens if you broke up, what is your agreement, and put it in writing. So the number one rule in real estate is that nothing is enforceable if it's not in writing. It's called the statute of frauds. Is like law. So if you want it to be contractual, it has to be in writing. So whatever agreement he's giving you, it has to be written in the real estate contract.
In like in the sale of the house?
Yeah, I don't know that you can have.
Or do you have an outside contract within the LLC?
A piece of paper. So your LLC.
That's like notarized.
Yeah, so you can create different agreements. You're going to need an attorney for that.
Okay.
But you can have an LLC where you stipulate who is the manager, who's the owner, and who can make decisions within your LLC. And you want to make sure it says that you are equal owners. And even if, say, this person literally paid more than you, so they're going to say, I own 3/4 of the house. You own 1/4 of the house. Even if you agree to that in an investment situation, because maybe you're putting in less dollars, the LLC can stipulate that we're both managers, we're equal owners, but like this person has this percentage, I have this percentage, but nobody can sign away anything without both parties signing. And that's really important unless you agree and have something that's like, because I've seen some investors where one person, it's okay for them to sign for the entire LLC, and there's some where everyone has to sign. And you have to protect yourself in advance looking at stuff like that. So don't ever assume someone's putting you on title. Don't hand money to anyone that's not a title company. Nobody. So don't ever give a guy money and say, oh, man, let's go buy a house.
Yeah, no.
No, that's absolutely ridiculous. You're never going to see it again.
Or
does that make sense?
Causing more problems. No. Yeah, I just thought
that's what I would do. Okay. So sorry, we had to take a quick break.
So
ownership we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Real estate contracts.
If you bought the house, let's say with a partner before ever, let's say you're married, does that become a marital asset once you guys are married, or how does that kind of? I don't.
It is, but because you bought it before and there's a contract. Now, I'm not allowed to give legal advice as a realtor, even if I'm your realtor. I'm only allowed to explain the contract. Okay, so you're still supposed to be advised to get an attorney. And I would say in any of these situations, pay the teeny tiny fee to an attorney to ask them the questions and see what paperwork you need to draw up. So you can stipulate the ownership of what's going to happen even beforehand. right? So the percentage of ownership, what's going to happen if one of you died? Like if you wanted your money to come back out and go to your kids because you're not married to this person, then you can stipulate that type of ownership. So on the deed, there's tenants and commons, and there's joint tenants in our state. And the difference is being one is if two parties, one dies, the other one gets it, and the other one, your heirs get it, right? So there's different, you can stipulate a lot of it by the type of deed, and no one can change a deed without everyone's signature, notaries, and recording it with the county.
Okay.
So I've had people go, oh, he never put me on the title, or he just took me off the title. That really can't happen.
So are all of those stipulations within the like contract then of the house itself, and that's an attorney you get to look over that house, the contract for the house, or is this a contract between the two of you?
Most real estate transactions, there's the sellers, the buyers, and then they both have their own agent who's advising them and giving them advice about the situation.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to put everything. Now, when it comes to title and your relationship, just how you're titled is written on the contract. Like you generally put that, and then the title company makes that type of deed.
Okay.
So that's what gives them the instructions of what type of deed, but you can talk with them about how you want to take title. And often they will send you paperwork called closing instructions in our state that you fill out and you stipulate everything about. And I've seen some of them actually put a paper in there that says like, how do you want to take title? Here's the options. Check one, both of you sign it, that kind of thing. But so if you're purchasing with someone you're not married, everything's going to be 50-50. And then it's going to be what happens if one of you were to pass away. That's how the deed would handle it. Everything else you have that you want to stipulate probably needs to be done contractually outside of that contract. So that's why I would say it's usually good to just create an LLC and then legally write up what all the things you guys want. How do you want it to happen if you break up, and work that out while you're happy.
That goes into
don't do it later.
This is why there always should be contracts between two people for everything.
Ooh, prenups are important. Yes. I don't know why prenups are not part of every possible marriage license. And but there needs to be, it's just like they should just create better paperwork that we can put with contracts and things for people to write that kind of stuff. So it's not so hard.
Yeah.
Because I see it all the time. All the time people divorce and people breaking up and trying to figure out what they're going to do. And there are people that are very nice to one another. I mean, that's still, oh, whatever. I'm going to give her the title. I'm going to sign this quick claim and we're going to do whatever. I mean, a lot of people don't have a really big upfront initial investment. The main thing is like if the house is appreciated, if you're both going to own that new equity, and maybe one person has to buy the other person out. And that's not that difficult if you can save up. Or what you can do is you can say, I'll pay you XYZ dollars when I sell the house. And maybe you don't have to, or maybe you can't sell it for a little while. And if the person's okay with that, like, hey, when you sell it within 3 years, I need my $10,000 back.
Yeah.
I mean, you can put all that kind of stuff in writing. But I'm not going to say, I'm not an attorney.
Yeah.
I'm not giving legal advice, but I would just say these are possible and you need to get an attorney for your situation because there's little things in everybody's situations that are unique. And I see a lot of people that want to, I've even seen people in their second marriage that still want the house left to their own children. So like they're divorced, they both have kids from previous marriages, they get married. They don't do that right of survivorship. A lot of people, they leave it to their own kids. So that way, when one parent dies, they can't take it, and then all that entire house goes to only the one grandkids. Like say on this one side of the family, they will still leave it where their own kids will get it after they pass away.
So it's still like 50-50 or whatever percentage they do.
If they're like thinking of it as like how they want to leave it to their kids. I've seen people do that, which makes sense to me. They don't want their own kids just left out of their inheritance. But
well, yeah, it's not like a lot of us are thinking about what's going to happen when we die, what our things are going to go to, especially if you're not married.
Yeah.
But I do think it's important to have those conversations, especially while you both are like happy together and fair, rather than when you both break up and then you're fighting about everything and then you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So,
And the main thing is having proof of what your assets are in the beginning. It's an asset that you own that you want. Maybe you want to say, well, this is mine, or I'd like to leave this to my brother if I passed away because,
yeah.
so I mean, you could choose differently too. You could say, you know what? I don't care. I'm fine if I pass away going to my husband or or maybe you'll have kids. And then later you change. Like you might say, oh, right now I would leave it to my brother, but later I might leave it to my boyfriend, or I might leave it to,
Okay.
especially if you have a kid, and then it changes.
Well, yeah.
So we have an evolution of, I think, who our beneficiaries are, and also who needs it. Where some people I know would want to take care of their parents, where other ones know their parents would never need to be taken care of. So I mean, it's just every family is unique. I know you both want to make an investment, so if you're like feel like, oh, we're both just wasting money on rent, then you need to create your LLC, buy it like it's an investment property. But if it's a primary residence, obviously you can get lower interest rate, but structure it that same way. Where
Like a business deal.
if you had to dissolve your business, it would already be dissolved in a structured, already preset way. I just hear the craziest things where they're like, oh, I've been giving him cash for down payment and paying for the mortgage, but I'm not on the house. I'm like,
so you don't own the house. Yeah.
no, now you were a renter. You stayed, you helped. There's no legal protection for you.
Yeah.
Good luck. I mean, if you have no contract and you can't prove any of it, you're screwed. All right. Well, that's nothing for our chat today. That was a lot. This is Matriarch Alchemy. Thanks for listening.